Hey guys, my name is Rita Amorichinda and I welcome you to IP Series Christmas Edition. So if this is your first time joining us, please don't forget to favorite my podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. Don't forget you can also listen to IP Series on other platforms like Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Listen Notes, So on today's episode, I have another special guest with me, and we will be talking about a form of IP which I consider to not be really popular. And the purpose of this is just to shed more light on this form of IP and what we can do to change the narrative. So stay tuned, guys, as we introduce our next guest. Let's welcome Mr. Sands to this Christmas edition episode. Mr. Sands, could you please tell us a brief background about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so my name is Sand Mbakalo. I'm an international trade consultant with focus on African markets. I am the executive director of African International Trade and Commerce Research, which is an international trade consultancy firm for the African market. We work on 4 broad areas. International trade itself, which has a lot of components. Under our international trade component, one of the components that falls under international trade, which is also cross-cutting, is intellectual property, which you can also fall under policy. So we work on policy, we work on research, market access, assessment. So the fourth one is invest in Africa-related projects. So we feel Africa can develop with ideas, but those ideas have to connect to infrastructure, soft and hard infrastructure. So the 4 broad areas are interconnected. International trade cannot work if it doesn't have policies to work with. Policy cannot work if we don't have evidence to support it. Evidence cannot work if there's no infrastructure to even support the investment on the African trade. So it's a cross-cutting area. Why we break it down into 4? Because there are different areas, different clients that need different services that we hope to address and we do address. So basically, this is a summary of who I am and what I do as an organization. Overall, I have about 15 years industry experience working in international trade. Started my career in the UK. What I studied was international trade, and I love doing what I'm doing. So thank you for having me in this edition of your podcast.
Thank you so much. And wow, 15 years is a lot of experience to go with. So what is geographical indication, or what is GI?
Okay, so geographical indication, it is a thematic area or a part of intellectual property. So intellectual property has different areas. We have the copyright, we have the trademark, we have the traditional knowledge, we have the innovation and technology. So intellectual property happens to be one of them. Intellectual property is a sign used for a product. I'm just using the WTO definition now. Intellectual property is a sign used on a product that have a specific geographical origin and possess quality or a reputation that are due to that origin. So let me break it down. Geographical indication is giving intellectual property rights for food or product that has local origin. And we have a whole lot of them around. So one of the stuff that always come to mind that I always use to give us an example of intellectual property of geographical indication is Ijebu Garri, because Ijebu Garri happens to be one of our saving grace when we're in school, when we're in secondary school. Ijebu Garri is a special Garri. It's not like any other Garri. It has a unique traditional knowledge that goes into it in producing it for the Ijebu people. You can't find 2 Ijebu Garri anywhere. So that is one geographical indication that we can relate with. So it's about So Jabugari has its attribute not because of just the knowledge. The soil also contributes to it. So that is the general definition of what geographical indication is. I'm using Jabugari as an example of geographical indication, which is sometimes in short GI or GIS. And let me Jabugari so is a potential geographical indication product. So Nsoka pepper is a potential geographical indication product. It's about local food. But now, because because I mentioned GI, because when you look at GI or GIS, in short for geographical indication, people see it as maybe it's a geographical information system, GIS. Because when you write it out, you say GIS, that's more S. People always think it's geographical information system. It's two different things. Geographical information is a data for computer, but geographical indication is a component of intellectual property rights.
Yeah. So, what are the frameworks that exist? If we're talking about GI as an IP, what are those frameworks that exist that gives it legal backing?
Okay, so geographical indication has protection. So we're talking about international convention now. We're talking about the TRIPS agreement. TRIPS agreement is trade-related intellectual property system, which is an agreement under WTO. We have the Paris Convention, we have the Madrid Agreement and Protocol, we have the Lisbon Treaty Agreement, which is the latest one is the Geneva Act that protects geographical indication globally, because geographical indication is one of those intellectual property components that nations have used strongly to develop their agriculture and to export their products without making it a commodity. So what that does is this: with all these agreements, it helps give legal rights for geographical indication when it leaves the border of a member state. A member state in this context is like, say, WTO. A member of WTO, another member of WTO, for example, whiskey. Whiskey is a GI product from a Scottish whiskey. It's a GI product from Europe. So if it goes to US, it's protected under this TRIPS agreement. So the same thing with Paris Convention. So another agreement that gives this protection for GI. Just to just give us a little bit of background of what of the agreement we're talking about. For example, the Paris Convention that protects any expression or sign used to indicate that a product or a service originates from a country, based on its reputation, was in 1883. That was when the term was used, for protecting geographical indication. So ever since then, a lot of TRIP is the most recent one, really, based on the when WTO came on board, when GATT, after the dismay of GATT, TRIP then came on board. TRIP came on board. TRIP agreement came on board in 1994. As I said earlier on, the TRIP is about trade-related aspect of intellectual property rights. So, in short, the right TRIP is TRIPS agreement, 1994. The purpose of that agreement is to identify a product as originating from a territory of a member state or a region or a locality in that territory, where a given product quality, reputation, or other characteristics is essentially attributable to the geographical origin. That means there is a clear link between the origin of the product, the quality of the product, that cannot be mutated. If you mutate it, you are going against the international protocol, and a member can be sued for it. It's expected that every member, for example, you can't come into Nigeria and register champagne. even while Nigeria has not domesticated some of these agreements, we don't have a legal framework in Nigeria now, a local legal framework to protect geographical indication. You can't come to Nigeria and register champagne. The Nigerian government cannot allow that to happen. If they do, France or Champagne, France can take Nigeria up on that, and which means we'll land ourselves into dispute settlement issue. We have dispute settlement case with WTO, which most times is very expensive to go through, and member states don't always want to go through that route.
So you mentioned champagne, you've mentioned Jebu Gari. What other examples can you give us that can be classified as?
Okay, so there's a whole lot. So, for example, currently EU has up to 4,000 plus geographical indication products. China has up to 3,000 or 4,000 as well, because China see the opportunity in this stuff, and they are really taking it head on, registering a lot of products. We have the Punjab pepper, which is from India. Punjab pepper is from Cameroon. We have the Thai seed. We have the Thai seed from Thailand. Swiss wash. Swiss wash is from Switzerland. It's also African indication products. We have the Havana tobacco, which is from Cuba. We have the Danjin tea from India. So these are confirmed GI products. And there's one interesting GI product that came on board recently from Mozambique. It's called the Tete goat meat. And it became a unique one because Europe is known to have a lot of cheese, like cheese as a GI. But this is the first time an African country will be going to register a product, a GI, that has some technicality involved. So how do you differentiate that? So, the standard has to be the same. So it's the most recent, I think it was last year, it was classified as GI. Yeah, it was last year, 2019. So these are some of the GI products that are known across the world.
Wow. I didn't know about the Mozambique one, but thank you for mentioning that. So what differentiates GI from other intellectual properties like copyright, trademark, patent, industrial design?
So there's a whole lot that differentiates GI from other trademark. Like that differentiate from other intellectual property rights, like trademark, copyright. Okay, what is this? That product must be from. So GI has to do with a goods that identify a local origin, so a local area. So copyright is a service that individual can have. GI is most time communally owned, and it has to be national. So national in the sense that what makes a GI is the soil of the ground or the local knowledge which community own. So that's the standard. You can have a copyright. You can copyright your music. It's your music. So you might right there. It comes from your head. But this GI identify a local area. That is what makes it unique. It's a territory. It's not industrial design. Industrial design, you can do it in a lab. It can be individually owned, but GI is most time communally owned. Not one individual have it. And that is the challenge, and that is the shortcoming if I have to put it into contest with Nigerian system that we have, which our trademark does not recognize locality as a as intellectual property that can be registered. So our commercial mark. Okay, so the trademark, even while it's commercial, it's not collectively owned. So GI is about collectively owned attributes based on the territory, the local area, and it has to be mapped out. So you must identify it. You can't. It's not about one person owning it. It's about the people within that local area owning that idea. And most times it happens to be that they form associations that protect that tangible. GI is tangible stuff that you can feel. Most of agriculture, textile, the resource we've talked about now you can feel it. You understand what I mean?
Wow.
These are
Yeah.
the stuff. It goes through a process. It goes through a process. That's what makes it different from every other intellectual property right.
Interesting. So, is there a relationship between geographical indication and traditional
Absolutely.
knowledge?
Yeah, okay, so there is a relationship because the traditional knowledge relationship has to do with the knowledge you're using to make this stuff, which we call trade secret. Trade secret is your own trade secret as a business or individual. But the traditional knowledge is about the community having this knowledge collectively, which they've transferred from generation yet unborn to a new generation. So that knowledge is used now to produce a product. So if I use another potential, I use the word potential, GI, because we've not carried out the test or the detailed analysis to differentiate Nsuka pepper from every other pepper around. But we know Nsuka pepper is unique. So there is traditional knowledge in the way they plant, they produce Nsuka pepper. Some people have said, even with the soil, which makes it unique, they also add some ashes when they cook with firewood, and that firewood in that area is unique. You can't find the wood any other place. It's unique to that place. So when you add it as manure for the seed in producing the yellow pepper, it gives you a variety that you can't find anywhere. You can take the seed of sugar pepper and plant some other pepper. You will not give the same as sugar pepper. So there's a process. So if I may also use ofada rice. Ofada rice has a unique way they process it. So it's a traditional knowledge coming in to produce something that they transfer. So there is a relationship, right? Relationship that traditional knowledge, education is about using that traditional knowledge to make geographical indication unique to that local area, to that people. Do you understand what I mean? So if I leave the shore of Nigeria and make reference to, say, traditional knowledge used in producing champagne, it's unique to the champagne people in France. So these are the relationships. This is traditional knowledge to produce a product that is unique to the people. That is the close relationship that we have.
Okay, so I know when we're talking about frameworks, you made mention of some international treaties. Are there any one that you feel Nigeria should, take into consideration with regards to, creating their own domestic framework?
Okay, so the TRIP agreement really is one that we have to domesticate and we have to create our own. So the TRIP agreement recognizes sui generics. So Lisbon Treaty International also allows us to use trademark as a legal framework for register geographical indication, to acknowledge geographical indication. But since our law does not allow us to register local area or geographical area as a trademark, what we are advocating for, and personally I'm advocating for, is to have a sui generis. Sui generis is to have a unique legislative framework that protects geographical indication in Nigeria. So what this will do is to help us define what we really want as a people, specifically to protect the unique product that we have, that over the years we have been selling as general commodity. Although sui generic is an expensive process and it's rigorous, it's very rigorous to be able to embody some as well. There is a lot of details that goes into it. But there are countries that have, that smaller African countries that have put this into place and have benefited from it. We have Cameroon, we have Burkina Faso, we have Senegal. In 2003, Ghana also put in their geographical indication law in place, which is sui generis, which is unique to them. We have the Zanzibar also enacting industrial act law, that also made provision for geographical indication. So for Nigeria, I believe it's important we start this process. Although 2000, there was a trademark law of 2018 that should have that went through first and second reading, but it didn't make it to the end in the House. We are hoping that the National Assembly reactivate it and get that working. But I think, in my own view, is that the trademark already has so much to handle. Let geographical indication stand on its own. Let sui generis stand on its own to manage, because if we join both, it will be the technicality. We need to build a special technicality around geographical indication, which we don't really have at the moment. So there should be a lot of technical training for regulators, a lot of training for the farmers, a lot of training for the buyers, the consumers, and as well as it being used as a economic diplomacy tool, which we can see China has used very well with the EU. I understand this year, China went into a bilateral agreement with the EU on geographical indication. I think the agreement was signed this July 2020. Although sometime back, I think it was 2008, China had what they call 10+10. The first time China went into an agreement with the EU where they brought in 10 of their Chinese products and 10 of EU products. And it will interest you to know that one of the products that Chinese government introduced that is geographically protected in the EU is called crayfish. They have the ginger. Let me even shock you. One of the products that was also registered is called yam.
Shock us are big.
You say what?
I say shock us. So you say you want to shock?
Yes. One of the products that was also registered is called yam. So they registered yam as a protected geographical indication product with the EU. So China and EU signed this agreement it was 2011. I got it now, 2011. That was when it was registered. China registered yam as a geographical protected product in the EU. So I don't know how we're going to go about it when we start pushing for our registration of our own, when we have necessary framework. And that is why when we advocate that government should not delay in this agreement, because most times if you delay, people move in, countries move in to do the needful for their own people.
How can we obtain a geographical indication? How do we go about that?
Okay, so the first thing first, everything works with law, really. Everything works. You can't as a people just start something from the sky. But we can start from somewhere.
Yeah.
We can start from either the government leading initiative or individuals or group of individuals lead initiative. But it's what I call the bottom-up approach or the top-bottom approach. Most times, the bottom-top approach is always difficult because you're going to spend money. So one of the first steps is this: create awareness. Create awareness of communities, build a capacity for them to map out the potential and identify, to create awareness of what this process is, what geographical indication is. So if I may refer back to say Sokoto goat, we have a goat where they call, what they call Sokoto goat in Sokoto, or the Gongola tea. You must allow the people in that area to understand what geographical indication is. and must be able to document their process of harvesting and processing the tea in that local area. Secondly, when you have identified this, you have to then map out the location of that. Then you then draw up an analysis of the description, what the process is, and the quality. So you then maintain the quality. Most times from the production value chain, from the production level, they take ownership of the process of arranging or putting together the tea, the product, the process of producing the product. Then they will then take it to certification level, which they will then fall back to government. Government has to certify it. Because when a product becomes geographical indication, having a geographical indication is not the end, because there will be counterfeit. People want to pirate it. So the government and the people become kind of like I wouldn't want to use the word cartel, but they work together. They become like a pressure group. The local community become a pressure group that support the government, because most geographical indication funds or revenue is generated from exports. So when your product ensure it's not tampered with, it's kept the way it is. So the customers come back, because one of the reasons why geographical indication is unique is that the standard is the standard, is the originality. So you can't fake it. Anything that drops from the standard is no more geographical indication. So this is the bottom up. The initial step is to create awareness, map out the product, identify the product you want to push for geographical indication, set the rules, the standard, the process of having it, and the labeling and analysis, and the barriers where it must come from. Then get the certification mark, the marketing aspects. So certification mark will be from the government and everything. And that is the process. So that is from the bottom up. So from the top down, which means government will create awareness and build capacity of regulators, make GI a national issue priority agenda, have a database of GI and encourage people. So when you do a national, you have a database, then you start mapping out. Then you then align it to the international protocol that you've signed up with. So for example, Nigeria has signed up to TRIP and the Lisbon Treaty, which should not domesticate. Then we then notify WTO, we then notify WIPO that we have a geographical indication product, where they will then come for the assessment. Then, because in the assessment is local area, then we can then start marketing, and we can then start engaging and doing a bilateral agreement, multilateral agreement with member states, and that is the process, really. This process I just rail out. Seems simple, but the issue is deeper than just what I just read about. This is the simple step of having this done.
I can imagine. The question is, what is the difference between appellation of origin, certification mark, and collective mark?
Okay, so I think during the course of the discussion, I did make mention of some of these terms, even why I didn't use the technical terms really. Appellation of origin is the same stuff really for as indication of source of a product. It's the same thing. It's used interchangeably. It's almost the same stuff. So this other one is we call it the
certification mark.
Okay, certification mark, which is something that we do have. It's like trademark. Why it gives the difference between this and appellation of origin is individual has to put in for the certification mark. It's not collectively owned. It's individual, and that individual can give you that license to use it. And it's renewable. Are you with me?
Yes, and then the collective mark is community mark.
Yes, community mark. Yes, community mark.
Okay, great. So would you say that the pandemic had and like it kind of affected research with regards to geographical indication?
Well, it depends on what you mean by research. Research in the sense that, okay, so the pandemic itself, when it comes to, if you're putting Nigeria into context, that research into geographical indication,
Yeah.
nobody has really, except what we intend to start next year. We started doing some stuff because as a researcher, there is always alternative way to get data, even why there are some limitations. What we did when we wanted to do a baseline to identify some of the potential GI products, we sent a Google form, a digital form, which most times the rural area people might not get it. You are not putting people on ground. So the pandemic might have, if someone wants to carry out physical or face-to-face research on this area, someone has to travel to the local areas. But with the pandemic, there are safety protocols, which means wear your face mask, wear your face shield. Don't touch your nose. Give yourself some distance until administer the question. If the survey instrument, if you are going to carry out research on geographical indication, but that is that much, So you go there, you still do your stuff, or you use the other online stuff. However, the only limitation is if, for example, you need an external assessor to come and assess your research. When it comes to geographical indication, you are doing a mapping or something like that. You might, the pandemic would have limited the travel times. You move from one city to the other, you might not be able to do that. Someone traveling in to go and come into the country to support the work might not be able to do that. So basically, that is it. So you can still do it, but it might just be slow. Yeah, the pandemic might just slow the process, but I don't think it will really stop the survey. If there's a research being carried out on geographical indication.
What is the economic benefit of GI protection for, say, a country like Nigeria or any African country or even the developed countries like China? You said has exploited GI to whatever level they are doing.
Okay, so let me put into context. The economic benefit is huge. So in 2000 and one for Nigeria is going to eliminate poverty in rural area. So you have support for producers. So producers will have market for their product already. They don't have to struggle to sell it. So it eliminates poverty, it creates employment in rural area. For a country now, be it Nigeria, be it developed country, in 2012, EU GI agricultural products revenue a year was €52.4 billion in 2012. So fast forward to 2019. In 2019, according to the European Union Intellectual Property Office and the European Union Commission, revenue from GI protected products jumped from 54 to 74.676 billion euro. You agree with me that this is like our 2 years budget as a country as Nigeria.
I see.
So this is it. This is revenue they made from about 3,000 plus or 4,000 plus products. So talk more of Nigeria, where we have so much that, so China, we don't want to go to China. So it's also an economic tool, economic diplomacy tool. I've mentioned the 10+10 that happened in 2011, where China gave Europe 10 products at GI, Europe gets China 10 products at GI. That opened up an opportunity for them. So there is market access for GI. So you have an international market registered already for you.
Wow.
On that benefit, GI is a premium product. It's not for all commerce. So you're having champagne. When you buy champagne, you know what you are buying. Or when you buy basmati rice, you know what you are buying. You know you are buying quality. So it's a price. You don't negotiate the price. So an average rice, for example, the way we sell Abakaliki rice now, if we make Abakaliki rice GI, globally, it will jump, it will have 50% plus value for what is currently obtained.
The level will just increase.
It will just go. So the farmers have job, the community have responsibility. It's also create tourism attraction. The agugi oil in Morocco. People travel to Morocco to go and see the essential oil of agugi just to appreciate it and love it.
Wow.
This is where the unique is coming from. So you're talking about just the selling of the product. You're not in the value chain as well. The community becomes an attractive a place for people to come and visit and get an experience in life. The hotels booms, the restaurant booms, transportation to that area booms. Infrastructure comes in. So people come in and invest in that area just because they want to tap into the value chain of a GI product. This and one and many other benefits. It's also a pride for a country to have a GI product.
I agree.
It is our product.
I agree.
You understand?
Yeah.
So these are the unique and powerful benefits that I wonder, why are we not seeing this and taking advantage of it as a country? And that is why, over the years, my organization has been pushing for GI. And we say, if nobody is taking ownership of other products, we will take ownership of GI. We have a 10-year strategic plan to ensure, and that's what we are rolling out. And all these events we are having is within the 10-year strategic plan framework. Sensitize, build capacity, identify, classify, and market. In a simple phrase, it's a simple stuff. But we're not joking about the strategy and the project. We know sometimes we rely on government to push certain things here in Africa and Nigeria. But we know that even while government can do this for us, we also, government to do, we can do it ourselves.
Sure.
Through advocacy. That's what we are doing. That's what we are speaking up. We are writing, we're having events. And that is one of the outcomes of tomorrow's event, which is the first Nigeria-French Geographical Indication Roundtable. So we are hoping the best will come out of that. And we'll keep on cruising to the top.
So there was this video I also saw on Instagram. I think that was 2 or 3 days back about there was this cranberry TikTok challenge that went viral, and now cranberry juice is like hot cake. And like when you just put a cranberry juice, it gets sold out in minutes. So now the farmers are doing double or triple of the work that they normally would do. Like they usually went for when the season is there, and then they start to farm and then go through the process of all the process of having to process it, turn it into a juice. But now because of the demand for cranberry, they have to work ×2 and even have to employ more people to assist them in doing it. So I do agree with you that there's a huge economic benefit with regards to a country exploiting its GI. It's on what are the trends you think we should look out for? I know you mentioned about your organization, your 10-year plan. What are the trends that you feel? I mean, anything could happen in Nigeria or globally. What are these GI trends that we might end up seeing in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years?
Okay, so we're going into a phase where one of our senior friends calls it era of informed self-interest. He said is a term in international trade, informed self-interest, when you go into trade negotiation. So you are informed of your country's self-interest. So informed self-interest of Africa, what we have, we go up. With ASCFTA that will be coming to that will start operation or commercialization of using the platform as a platform to trade with other African countries come 2021. So you see a lot of awareness, and bear in mind that second phase negotiation is going to be on intellectual property. So there'll be a reawakening of what is intellectual property for us. And as a matter of fact, it's not disconnected from what we are trying to do next 2 weeks on having the African intellectual property town hall meeting. So in 2021, you have more people like you and more of your clients, more of your colleagues coming up and speaking up and taking position on international property. The same thing with trade. You can see a lot of people didn't even know the top public trade is about import and export. Now we know that there is environment component, there is climate exchange component, there is integration component, there is gender component to trade, there is intellectual property component to trade, there is finance, who pays what, how do we trade, there is logistics. So people have started becoming conscious.
Yeah.
Of this. In 2021, there will be more people coming to the consciousness, self-informed consciousness of what intellectual property can do for them and their country, and they will take advantage of it. I believe 2020 came as a shock to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think after we own 2021, we just have to just get up, because before now, people felt with the COVID-19, Africa would be, maybe by now, we'll be carrying body bag from the streets. Yeah. But here we are. It has come, the second wave is also going. We've not had any of those such stuff. However, we should not give up. The simple thing, what I'm trying to say is that come 2021, there will be emerging issues which Africa has to grapple with. So what we should be asking ourselves, where is those things and where do I feel comfortable that I can take advantage of it? And how do I go about it? So you position yourself and you take advantage and run with it. Or take ownership of something. You might not be able to be out there today and be known, but stay at it and build up your in no distance time will be the reference point. And I believe that is what most businesses should start doing in Africa. Don't think I want to start exporting to all under AFC. I want to start exporting to all the 54 states or countries. Start exporting to one country first. Even if it's a bag of salt, you can export, build a relationship, then build up your capacity. Maybe before 2020, end of 2021, you must have built strong capacity. So basically, this is my thought. 2021 will bring a margin issue, but I believe it's a year that will be for Africa, especially under AFCFTA.
Sure. Okay, so final words. What are your final words? What's that thing you want to leave us with at the end of everything that you've said?
With all I said is this: now is the time for us to take GI issue very serious as a country. Now is the time. We can't waste any more day. No more. One single day should not pass us doing something about GI. I don't know where your podcast will get to, but if it's going to get to the government, the National Assembly people, they should take GI very serious. If products that they consider GI can give EU 74-point-something billion a year in revenue, talk more of what we can get from our local area. Every one of us have something, some food, some product that is unique to us. Let's take advantage of it. Let's honor international protocols. When we sign international protocols, let's sign them and domesticate them. And when we sign international protocols, let's open our eyes. Open our eyes in the sense that let's be conscious of the informed self-interest. What do we want to achieve with the international protocol we are signing in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? But how do we even come about having an informed self-interest? We must engage stakeholders. Engage stakeholders, both the private, both the public, both the non-governmental, and the development partners, because sometimes you learn from other people's mistakes, so you don't repeat the same mistake. Why reinvent the wheel when there's already a wheel that has been invented? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sand. It's been a pleasure having you on this episode. I hope you had a good time as well as I did. I mean, it was really insightful, and I'm looking forward to the event your organization is having tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. Yes. We are trusting that it's going to be informative, educating, and inspiring as well. That is our trust. So we're saying tomorrow should mark the beginning of where we can mark that Because, French, I did tell you the history behind France. France has been in this game forever. As a matter of fact, the Paris Convention is because of France. They've influenced this stuff. They know the GI stuff. So I trust the Almighty God, because one is a Christian, that tomorrow will mark a beginning where we'll look back and say, yes, based on this round table, we'll be able to get XYZ product from Nigeria as GI. And their community will be internally, I mean internally, that means generation yet unborn will come in. It's not about poverty elevation, it's wealth creation. GI is wealth creation. Generation yet unborn will come into wealth. We don't need to do anything about it because it's already local. Building wealth locally is the most powerful thing, and GI can give us that platform to make this happen. Thank you very much, Rita, for having me. It's a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So once I'm done editing, I'm going to send you the link to listen to it. Unfortunately, I will be publishing it tomorrow, but it should be published before the 10th or 15th of December.
Awesome. That would be good. That would be good. So yeah, that is fine.
Okay, because I already have a podcast I'm releasing tomorrow by 9 a.m. It was already pre-recorded, so they'll just be uploading by themselves. So yeah, it's been a good one so far. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Have a good evening then.
And you too. Okay, bye for now.
Bye for now. Fantastic. So I know in the course of our conversation, you made mention of, dispute mechanism, and you talked about how expensive it is. So in the event that a dispute arises out of a GI, what is the best mode of resolving that dispute? Is it litigation or alternative dispute resolution mechanisms like arbitration, mediation, negotiation? Which of these mechanism is the appropriate one to use?
The appropriate one is alternative and negotiation. Okay. If you want to go through dispute, it's expensive. It's negotiation. That's why it becomes a bilateral agreement. That's why China can go to you and say, let's do this. While you protect me, I protect you. Reciprocal. So why, I rail out going solo without government. But you can't fight a country or a jurisdiction or a country where, as a group, maybe as Gary, no matter how powerful you think you are, you can't go into those countries and fight when they counterfeit your product. So it's about government not coming in and using it as a bilateral agreement or negotiation or a diplomatic strategy to get this. So if there is a dispute, it has to be negotiated. Oh, why are you counterfeiting our product? They tell you why. You protect them. You protect their product. They protect yours, their country. So that is how it has to work. But any other dispute settlement mechanism is expensive and it's not good for business. As business people. And that's if you understand this stuff. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
You know what the black magic? The magic drink.
Yeah.
The magic drink is coffee. It came from, where is coffee? Where did it originally come from? Ethiopia. Ethiopia, if you go to Ethiopia, they love coffee. As a matter of fact, when we take some black coffee here, we might start working like 24 hours without blinking our eye because it's harsh. It keeps us agile. It keeps us. I like coffee. I like black coffee, so I take it. But in Ethiopia, is what they drink easily. But someone has registered Ethiopian coffee as a trademark because US don't use Swiss generic, they use trademark. Up till tomorrow, Ethiopia is still fighting to reclaim that name. I don't know if they've gotten it. I think they went to court and everything. Now they are going into alternative dispute settlement system to settle that case. Okay, give us back our name, it's our copy. But and that goes to show why when we lag behind on certain issues, we think we are doing international protocol is to make peace and to give advance opportunities for everybody. So get into the room and negotiate. If African countries feel they can be outside the room and feel when the negotiation is ended, they can benefit from it, they are lying, because the people in the room do things based on their informed self-interest, not on your interest. If they want to give you interest, maybe it's a poor country, they give you these crumbs. So they're fighting together. There were a number of other dispute issues where it has to do with Africa, where people are taking the product from Africa and registered it outside the shore. So we have yam now that have registered. So if we are going to be taking yam as a GI product to Europe, to register as a GI product, we have to negotiate and tell them why our own yam is different.
Wow.
You understand what I'm talking about? Why our own yam is different? Why our own crayfish is different? So we have to give that uniqueness to it and give it a name. So the alternative dispute settlement is the best, and negotiation and using the diplomatic tool to resolve any challenges or disagreements or injury that when trading under GI will cause. We have to just do it. We must have it done. Otherwise, it will just be fighting forever.
Time
time will be going, and it's not good for business.
Okay, so final words. What are your final words? What's that thing you want to leave us with at the end of everything that you've said?
With all I have said is this: now is the time for us to take GI issue very serious as a country. Now is the time. We can't waste any more day. No more. One single day should not pass us doing something about GI. I don't know where your podcast will get to, but if it's going to get to the government, the National Assembly people, they should take GI very serious. If a product that they consider GI can give EU 74 point something billion a year in revenue, talk more of what we can get from our local area. Every one of us have something, some food, some product that is unique to us. Let's take advantage of it. Let's honor international protocols. When we sign international protocols, let's sign them and domesticate them. And when we sign international protocols, let's open our eyes. Open our eyes in the sense that let's be conscious of the informed self-interest. What do we want to achieve with the international protocol we are signing in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? But how do we even come about having an informed self-interest? We must engage stakeholders. Engage stakeholders, both the private, both the public, both the non-governmental, and the development partners, because sometimes you learn from other people's mistakes, so you don't repeat the same mistake. Why reinvent the wheel when there's already a wheel that has been invented? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sand. It's been a pleasure having you on this episode. I hope you had a good time as well as I did. I mean, it was really insightful, and I'm looking forward to the event your organization is having tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. Yes. We are trusting that it's going to be informative, educating, and inspiring as well. That is our trust. So we're saying tomorrow should mark the beginning of where we can mark that. Because, French, I did tell you the history behind France. France has been in this game forever. As a matter of fact, the Paris Convention is because of France. They've influenced this stuff. They know the GI stuff. So I trust, and I trust the Almighty God, because one is a Christian.
And so we've come to the end of this IP series Christmas edition on Geographical Indication. If you learned something new, please let me know. If you have more questions, just send us an email to ipseriesinfo@gmail.com. Until the next episode, happy holidays, guys!